Welcome to the Beauty of Better podcast, where we help moms thrive in health and faith.
Hello, Beauty of Better Mamas. This is Christiana here today, and we want to just kick off a topic for you, just kind of giving you some practical tips as fall comes with a lot of changes and maybe some stress of just kind of how to navigate that stress in this season that you might be having some unexpected things or maybe expected things, and just give you some of our favorite practical tips. So we're going to kind of narrow down like 3 or 4 of our favorite ones. And Danielle, did you want to kick it off with yours?
Sure. I just feel like when you're in the moment and, maybe school started or something's new at work or you have family changes, like fall comes with a lot of changes. And it's like, what can you do in the moment? And I think one of my favorite tips is to just get moving. So, movement. So, it doesn't have to be like exercise at the gym or like a full-blown workout. Like, if you're in your office and something stressful happens, it's like, hit pause, go outside, at least 10 minutes, try to get 20 minutes of just like walk and move, and getting your body moving helps take it out of that fight or flight, helps take it out of that stress inducing environment, and really helps reset your body so that you can just pause, reset, and then refocus. So I just think movement is my number one. And again, it doesn't have to be gym, it could be walking, it could be in your office. But just physically moving your body helps take it out of that stressful mode. So I think that's one of my number one in the moment tips when I feel stressed.
Yeah, I think one for myself. I definitely love movement, and my preference is always to get exercise, but that's sometimes not always practical in the moment when you have that automatic stressor or when life is just maybe a little fuller than normal. So for me, one thing that helps in the moment is that deep breathing, right? So actually when you're exercising, your breathing patterns change, so tying in to that there. But with the deep breathing, you really want to work on engaging your diaphragm. So I do this exercise with my kids, with my students, where you put your hands like a cup on your rib cage, and you have to feel the pressure of your diaphragm expanding and putting pressure on those front fingers as you're
Should we all
taking that.
try this as you're saying it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
as people are listening to the podcast, as we're listening, I think we should all try it
Should
together.
we try that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the diaphragm breathing, I'm gonna adjust my camera so you can kind of see like what placement on your rib cage is gonna be. So let me adjust this a little bit. Bear
And
with
just
me.
describe it for people who maybe can't
Yeah.
see or don't watch on
Or
YouTube.
okay, yeah, maybe I'll describe it. So if I put my hands up here, I think it's gonna make sense. So kind of right under, we're ladies here. So right under where that bra strap would fit, is where we would typically place your hands. And so it's kind of like a cup, like you're holding a glass of water, maybe like this. And then you just put that directly on your rib cage. And then we're gonna inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And it can be a 3 count or 5 count, like depending on, you know, that's typically what I do. So I would go inhale 1, 2, 3, and exhale 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to focus for these first 3 breaths. We're going to do 9 breaths total. First 3 are going to focus on putting that pressure on this front part of your hand. So the first 3 will be here. The next 3 will be on the curve of your hand, and the last 3 will be on your thumb, right? So we'll do a total of 9 breaths together, and I'll count that in 1, 2, 3, out 1, 2, 3 for all of us. Are you guys ready? Okay. So we've got our hands under their cups. So I'm going to actually stick it on my rib cage and do it with you, ladies. Okay. So in and exhale. That's 1. Inhale. Exhale. That's 2. Inhale. Exhale. That's 3. I got 3 more. Inhale. 4. Can't rush this, right? Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. You're feeling the curve right now. Exhale. Sometimes I close my eyes. Last 3, that thumb. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale. Feel that thumb. Exhale. Last one. Deepest breath. Inhale. And exhale. Okay. So I know on here, it might have been easier just to do 1 or 2 for the sake of time, but really like the more that you can engage that diaphragm. I tell my kids and my students, like if they get a stressful news at school or they're stressed with a question on a test, that you don't have to put your hands on your rib cage to do this. You can, in that moment, do your deep inhale and do your deep exhale, and no one's really going to know or see that you're doing that, and you don't have to escape somewhere to go calm down. That's just a technique that you can use while you're driving, in a meeting, or even with challenging things happening maybe in your home. But I try to keep mine to a minimum of 9 breaths. Sometimes it's 3 if I have to give a reply to something like that, but really just picturing putting pressure on the front fingers, the curve of your hand, and the thumb. So if I do 3, it would be my front, then my curve, then my thumb, if I'm just keeping
So
it.
one of each.
Yeah, 1 of each.
I think that's so helpful. And I feel like one thing we could do with this episode is each of these tips that we have aren't just our favorites, but they're scientifically proven. And so maybe we could upload some of those articles that show the actual benefits. And what I really love about this is that it's just so simple, right? Where it's like you can just literally sit there and change your breathing patterns and pause and focus on that for less than a minute, right? And see a difference in your stress. And so I feel like anytime we can have really practical tips that just help us pause and reset our bodies, it's so, so helpful. And we love science. So,
Yeah, I think physiology is by far one of my favorite topics. And so if there's something, when you have a child, right? And whether you have drugs or no drugs, and I've done both ways, right? They tell you to breathe, right? And that's one of our most painful experiences that a woman may go through physiologically, physically in our bodies, and they tell us to breathe. So if we're supposed to breathe in those moments, maybe some of these other stressors are also opportunities to practice actual patterned deep breathing as well too.
That's so good.
Love that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 2 other ways. So movement and deep breathing are awesome ways that can help us calm down in the moment. And the third way that I tend to use a lot, especially when it can really be done anywhere. It's pretty easy to do. It's just humming or singing. And if I'm at home with my kids and they are going crazy, that's something I can do just like quietly to myself. And what that does is it stimulates that vagus nerve and helps activate that parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest system, to help you feel more calm. And it's very helpful for mood regulation. So if you just feel like, okay, maybe, I've tried deep breathing and that sort of helped, but I need something I can kind of do as I'm like going about my day, or maybe you're answering like a stressful email and you can just kind of like hum to yourself in the background. That's a really simple, easy way that can be used to kind of help regulate stress in the moment that I personally use all the time. So that's another one.
Do you think that we could really quick just break it down? Like, I know that that our team kind of uses parasympathetic and sympathetic and vagus nerve
Yeah.
like in regular talk, but maybe not everybody remembers back to
Right.
their science days. If we could just
Yeah,
like go through
totally.
what does that mean and like why do we talk about that
Yeah.
and what are we trying to do with that with these
Yeah.
techniques?
Absolutely. So your nervous system, you have it's basically controlling how your body responds to things. So we have different ways that we respond. And when we tend to feel stress, there's things that happen, like our heart rate tends to go up, our blood pressure goes up, we start to sweat, our palms kind of get clammy. Things like that are all indicators that your body is going into something called um, fight or flight, right? Like if you had a choice, you would either like stay and fight or run away because you're starting to get stressed out about something. And those responses are part of something called the sympathetic nervous system. So when you're stressed, your sympathetic nervous system is what's activated in your body, and you have these natural physiological responses that occur. And so when we feel those, there's things that we can do to help stimulate, kind of like two sides to a coin. It's a good thing that your body responds that way because it helps keep you safe. But sometimes we don't want to be in chronic stress, right? That's not good for your health to be constantly in that parasympathetic state. And so sometimes we want to activate the opposing side of the coin, which is your parasympathetic nervous system, also known as your rest and digest piece. So things that we can do to activate that piece are going to help bring our blood pressure down, slow our heart rate down. So that's why things like controlling your breathing and taking even like a slow walk are going to help you activate that piece of your nervous system. And really, that's what's going to help you relax. If it's going to help reduce your heart rate, that's probably going to activate the parasympathetic. If it's helping your heart rate go up, that's probably activating the sympathetic. That's kind of an easy way to remember it. So sometimes it's good, right, to activate that sympathetic. Like when we exercise, our heart rate goes up. We're technically stressing our body in that moment, but then we want to come back down from that. We don't want to have our heart rate constantly elevated all day long. And as working moms, we all know that sometimes at work, there are just moments that have a lot more stress in them, or, we come home and then we have to transition from being on at work to being on at home. And there can just be lots of transition times and places where we can use these, like, I need something I can do in the moment to help me calm down. So does that explain it in a simple way?
Yeah, no, that's so good. I'm just gonna jump in with
Okay.
the vagus nerve really quick because I think we might
Yeah.
mention that a few times. And
Yeah.
I remember this in anatomy and physiology in a cadaver lab I had. It was shocking to see the vagus nerve. It's literally your longest nerve and it runs along the right side of your body, like starting in your brain, and it really connects so many involuntary parts of your body. So think of like your heart rate, your breathing, just like how your pulse, like all of that, like works, digestion, things that just happen in your body that you don't intentionally do. Although some of them you can, right? Like you can control your breathing, but it happens whether or not you're thinking about it. And so when we talk about stimulating the vagus nerve or the vagus nerve helping us change our stress, right? That's like what Kelsey said with humming, like that's what you're stimulating because your vagus nerve is what's connecting your breathing, your heart rate, all of that to your brain. And so when you interrupt what's happening on its own, you're helping reset it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's really quite cool, like that. All of the nerves that run through your vocal cords and
hmm
how those are connected to the vagus nerve, and just like literally humming something can help like bring your stress down, which is just really a nice little tool to put in your toolbox.
I even think of
So
like you put on a worship song or just like calming
yeah,
music and like sing along with it and just like that act of like being vocal with it can really make such a difference.
yeah, I think that's an extra bonus piece I feel like we have as Christian moms, where you can turn on a worship song, and that's like you can just enter into a different headspace with that, and you can sometimes tangibly feel the Holy Spirit with just turning on a worship song, and then you're humming, and maybe for me it helps my kids calm down too sometimes, just turning
Definitely.
on a calm worship song that they like. Um, Keyword being that they like, but yeah, I mean, you get to control the auxiliary cord in the car and in your house. So, yeah, that's something that can be really helpful. But the last tip that I tend to use too is just cold exposure. And I'm not talking about doing like a cold plunge, like that could probably be a whole different episode on the benefits of cold cold exposure, but just in the moment, like splash some cold water on your face, or like put an ice cube on your neck, or something like that. And that just triggers, again, that vagus nerve, helps reduce your heart rate. And it's a really practical thing you can do. Like maybe it's a cold washcloth, something that's just cold. Just helps that reduce that acute stress or that like panicked feeling that you might feel if you're just having more anxiety that day or something like that. So the four things we said, right, were walking or movement, and deep breathing, humming or singing, and then cold exposure. So hopefully one of those is new to you and you can try it, and it could help you kind of reduce that stress in the moment. I think all of us here at Beauty of Better understand that stress is a part of daily life as moms who work, and we juggle a lot of things on our plates. And
I think it's something we can pass on to our kids too, right? Like
absolutely.
where it's like we can be teaching our kids these very, very simple things, because I feel like school has never been so stressful for them. This just feels like a really different season, and to be able to equip them with those skills in the moment to say like, hey, move if you can like get up out of your seat, like ask to go to the bathroom, or just like pause and let me teach you how to do these deep breaths, or start humming, or splash cold water on yourself. Like I think if we can learn this for ourselves and then pass it on to our kids and even our spouses, like what a place we could make our homes, where we're all encouraging each other to step out of stress and really just pause together and reset our bodies, and understanding the physiology behind it too. I think it's just such a powerful, powerful tool in such simplified ways.
Yeah, I think I know, Danielle, you take your family on walks pretty regularly, so I know that you're applying that. I know for my kids, I'm thinking breathing. The one time that I really had them use that is my girls had to get a blood draw, and one of them was okay, nervous, but okay, but the other one was having a really hard time with it. And I was like, just blow out the birthday candles. Just keep blowing out the birthday candles. You don't have to look at it. And like teaching them, put diaphragmatic breathing, they don't understand that necessarily depending on their age, but like that simple, like, okay, how many birthday candles can you blow out? Like we can take these tips and simplify that a bit. But I'm curious, Kelsey, have you done any cold exposure with your kids? I know that you mentioned humming, they kind of catch on and stuff, but have you done that with your kids?
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we'll like splash water.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll like grab, we'll mostly do it in the sink or outside with the hose.
I was gonna say, I can see my youngest getting the hose and it could get out of control.
Yeah, they love the
stress.
hose. So yeah, sometimes I think that's a really good point too. They just learn through modeling, right? So even if you just have to be really aware of all the things that you're doing, because they're going to pick it up whether you want them to or not. So I think something we can actively do is just model these tips. But yes, we have tried the water, or even just like putting it in a bowl with some ice cubes, and then it's like blow the bubbles and like stick your face in the bowl, because they know how to do that from swimming. So they're like, oh, okay, it's just cold. And actually, I have done, this is kind of a different thing, but I have done like cold plunges with my 4-year-old. He's hopped in for like a minute or something like that, because he's seen mommy doing it. And I used to do it when we lived in Southern California. We had a pool, and in the winter time, it would get cold, like, I don't know, 60, 58-degree water. And so I would hop in there and he would see me doing that, and I would say, yeah, mommy just, doing a little cold plunge. And I was like, it's just cold water, buddy. Like, it's literally just cold water. And he was like, I want to try. So he'd hop in for like 30 seconds, and it was really sweet. But yeah, I think from just in the day-to-day using like the faucet or just putting water in a bowl with ice and popping your face in it really quick can help too. So.
Even as we're talking, I'm thinking like, yes, we go for family walks and talk about health, like our family values around the dinner table. But I think, my boys love learning why. They're very inquisitive and they always want to know, like, well, why would I do this? And why is this good? And I feel like maybe that's going to be our conversation tonight at dinner when we talk about health is like, this is why. And I feel like they're old enough now where they can understand the physiology behind it more. And so maybe that's going to be our new dinner table conversation tonight. So,
Definitely.
yeah. Oh, well, mamas, we just thank you for joining us today. We hope that you got at least one new tip that you can try to really help you step out of a stressful moment and have practical tips. And we just pray that this blesses you. And we know that this will reach the generations as you model for your children. We hope today you got to take one small step to find the beauty in becoming better.
Thanks so much for listening to the Beauty of Better podcast.
If you liked today's episode, don't forget to subscribe.
Connect with our community and check out other resources on our website at beautyofbetter.com.
We hope this podcast helped you take the next small step to find the beauty in becoming better.